Some people don't know that when they live in a living room, they have to clean it. Some people don't know that the bathroom that you bathe in, you have to clean it. Discuss cleaning. Praise the Lord. You have to discuss it. We said earlier on that the timing of this discussion matters. From my teaching at school, even from that, I have also learned that day one in the semester, when you see the students for your first time, you are explaining the syllabus. That is the best time to tell them all the do's and don'ts in the course. When week one passes and then you realize, oh, I did not tell my students this thing. And then now you start going back and say, okay, you people were supposed to be doing these things, just that I did not tell you. It does not sink well. Their minds are already oriented differently. Day one of the discussion, everybody is humble. Everybody is focused. They want to get the whole story and they will respond the best. The timing of the discussion matters. Praise the Lord. So, we discussed all of this. Discuss transportation. Transportation involves gas in the car and as well as departure. You will be surprised that some guests come to live with you. They are not thinking that they will eventually have to move out. They are not thinking. Take nothing for granted. Praise the Lord. Discuss all of these things. So the terms should consider two things. Before the guest starts working and when the guest is working but still lodging with you. An immigrant, for example. All of these terms that we have discussed. When you are discussing with your guest, you have to know that, you have to consider that, okay, now the guest just came. No papers, no job, nothing. How will all of this go? Still, when those guests are still with you, eventually they will get their papers, they will have jobs, their status will change. Now what will the terms look like? You have to consider that spectrum. Praise the Lord. You consider that spectrum. Everything. For an immigrant, the terms of departure. Now, departure is one of the 6 that we mentioned. For an immigrant, like what I do, what I tell those that I host is that before you leave my house to go independent, of course, number one, you should have had your papers. You should have had a job. You should have had your driver's license. And you should have had a car. If you don't fulfill this, don't go out there. Because in this America, you go out there without a car. What can you do? Praise the Lord. You have to give them all this education. That once you have these things, then now you are ready to go independent. Amen. Amen. You accomplish this 4, you are good to go. So it's good to discuss this thing. People have made mistakes. People have made serious mistakes. Now, what if the terms and responsibilities were not discussed at the beginning? What if? We also have to think about that, isn't it? What if they were not discussed? Before your guest starts working, usually there are no issues. They just came, they have no job, nothing. The relationship is going well. After your guest starts working, there may be issues if the terms were not discussed at the beginning. The host-guest relationship may be strained due to misunderstanding. But in cases where people have good characters, it may still end up well. Some people just have difficult characters. Okay, at the beginning, no terms were discussed, no conditions were discussed. Now they have started working. What you assumed that they would do out of their good heart, they don't do. They don't. So then, you feel it necessary to have a discussion. If they have a good character, they will sit with you and the discussion and the situation will be amended. Some people do not have a good character. You discuss with them, it still doesn't get amended. Now relationships are strained. Today we are discussing practical gospel. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
So what should you do? Number one, the host should be persevering with the guests. Because what you provide to your guests is what you provide to Jesus himself.
Yeah.
As we will see later on, when Jesus will say that, I was a stranger and you took me in. Praise the Lord. As a host, you find yourself in that situation, be patient with your guests. That's the first thing. You don't want to throw somebody out. No. Number two, there should be a discussion. Even though terms were not discussed in the beginning. Number two, there should be a discussion between both parties on the way forward. The host should acknowledge his or her failures. Also ensure that the guest will be ready to depart in a stable manner. Stable manner, all of those four that I listed, right? Yeah. There should still be a discussion. You realize that your guest is working and things are not going on well. Have a discussion. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Jesus Christ said that if your brother offends you, what do? Go and talk to him. Discussion. Number three, the guest should show gratitude to his or her host for the favor that has been shown to him or her. We saw what Elisha did. Praise the Lord. We saw what Elisha did. As a guest, you are living in somebody's house. That person has accommodated you for so long. Now you are beginning to get on your feet. You have your documents, you have a job, you make a salary. You don't need a prophecy to tell you that you need to support that house, do you? So, scripture says that the Shunammite woman was wealthy. To some, that is an excuse right there not to show any gratitude for her kindness. We have three kinds of Christians. We have cold Christians, we have lukewarm Christians, and we have hot Christians. Jesus doesn't even seem to care about cold Christians. He addresses lukewarm Christians. He says that I would prefer for you to be cold so that I completely ignore you, or be hot. In Revelations, right? These three groups of Christians in this exact situation of the Shunammite woman, they will react in three different ways. For the cold Christian will say, my host is wealthy. She needs nothing. Let me just forget about it. Don't do anything. You take that approach, you are a cold Christian, no matter how much tongues you're speaking. A lukewarm Christian, Elisha called the woman and asked the woman, and the woman said, I don't need anything. And then she went her way. A lukewarm Christian will end at that point. You put in just a little effort, you meet the roadblock. You give up. That is it. A hot Christian, you call the woman, you ask from her, she says that she needs nothing. Your spirit will still give you no peace. Elisha still asked Gehazi, what does this woman really need? And then Gehazi told him, she has no son. A hot Christian will have no peace until something is done. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Three groups of Christians, they will respond differently in all these situations. So scripture says the Shunammite woman was wealthy. To some, that was an excuse right there not to show any gratitude for her kindness. Elisha was intentional to be grateful to the woman. He asked what her need was. She expressed no need. Again, that would be another excuse for some people to stop right there. But Elisha pressed on until he found out that the woman needed something that her wealth cannot provide. And then he used his anointing to provide that woman's need. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Prophesy to the woman, this time next year, you he will have his son. The woman even did not believe, but it still happened. Amen.
Amen.
He was intentional. As a believer, being someone's guest in this country, you have gotten to the point that you have a job. You don't need to be told that your host incurs bills on your behalf. The shelter is a bill. The food is a bill. The utilities in the house are bills. The rights being given to you are bills. Where you live and what you use need cleaning. Everything. You don't need somebody to tell you all of this. So even if your host did not discuss those terms that we have talked about, you can see these things. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. You can see and you should see these things. So if you find yourself in that situation, it doesn't mean that, because all of that were not discussed. No, things can still be fixed out. Ask your host what the needs are and offer help as generously as you can. If you have the Spirit, if the Spirit of God has you, there is no way you will be generous. For God so loved the world that he did what? He gave. Giving. 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 And as a guest, the best giving you can show is to your host right there. As a guest, the best show of your giving is right at home. We'll get to some verses too about that. So it's a responsible attitude for a guest to seek to support his or her host, because you start learning how to take care of your bills. Jesus Christ said that if you take care of another man's thing, then yours will also be given to you, right? As a guest, you are in somebody's house. Show how to take care of things right there in the house. Then when you get to your own house, you can take care of it properly. Mind you, you ignore somebody's own things. Remember, scripture says what you sow is
what you reap.
You can't sow coffee and you reap cocoa.
Mm-hmm.
1 Timothy chapter 5 verses 7 to 8. 1 Timothy chapter 5 verses 7 to 8. When the Lord was giving me all of this, I just wept in my heart. There are many Christian relationships, many places we have lived in that have been strained because of this thing. Accommodation. Strained. Character of people. 1 Timothy 5, 7 to 8. Give these instructions to the believers so that they will be above reproach. If anyone does not provide for his own, and especially his own household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Did you see that? Did you see that? That verse is not only for leaders in the church, it is for Christians as a whole. Praise the Lord. It is for Christians as a whole. You live with somebody. You have the means to support the conditions of living in that house. You have the means. Now you have a job. You don't do it. The Bible says you have denied the faith. You have denied. No matter how long you've been in the church, you have denied the faith. And even worse, he says that you are worse than an unbeliever. Apostle Paul was really hard at this point. In the New Living Translation, verse 8 says, but those who will not care for their relatives, especially those in their own household, have denied the true faith. Such people are worse than unbelievers. If you have a job, then you have the ability to care for those you live with in the same house. To care for them means to contribute to the running of the house. The Spirit of God is very heavy against anyone who has the means to provide in his own household but refuses to do so. 1 Timothy 3:5. For if someone does not know how to manage his own household, how can he care for the church of God? So where does good character begin?
At home.
At home. Do you realize Do you experience some people whom you chase around in the church just to get a few things done? The character did not start here. It started at home. That is it right there. The prerequisite for you to take care of things in the house of God is do it first at home. Praise the Lord. Do it first where you live. And today we have even people who are leaders in the church, but they cannot take care of the things back at home. It should not be so. It should not be so. There have been cases where people who are hosts have not been responsible as they should domestically. Yet some of them are authorities in the church. I was listening to one man of God's testimony. Now he's a man of God. But then, many years ago, he was a boy. Or maybe a youth. Specifically, he was a youth. As a youth, he was attending a church. He was an orphan attending a church. And he was living with another Christian in the church. And that Christian was a leader. Now, back at home, that leader gave his garage, back in Africa, gave his garage for that youth to live in. Number two, the kind of food that that youth ate was less than, in quality and quantity, less than the food that the dog of that Christian leader ate. May God help Tana, Minnesota, that will not accommodate those kinds of things here. In the name of Jesus. Amen. You have to be a good example domestically. There are guests too who have not been responsible to their hosts, yet some of them manage things in the church. All of these are spiritual failures to the first degree. Why do we say to the first degree? Because Apostle Paul says you are worse than an unbeliever. But the Lord is calling upon us all to rethink our ways and to repent. In Jesus' name. Amen. So other things to do with your guests, give them enough privacy and comfort. Because somebody is your guest does not mean that you have to stick your nose in all of their things.
Busybody.
Busybody. Praise the Lord. I like the Bible because it is balanced on both sides. Praise the Lord. So verse 9 in our main text, the Shunammite woman said to her husband, "Behold, now I know that this is a holy man of God who is continually passing our way. Let us make a small room on the roof with walls and put there for him a bed, a table, a chair, and a lamp, so that whenever he comes to us, he can go in there. Let us give him his privacy." Praise the Lord. Another thing that should not escape our attention in it is, it says, the lady said to her husband, "Let us make for him what?" Let us make for him what? The next verse. Let us make for him what? A little chamber. Or what? A small room. Brethren, as a guest in somebody's house, you are receiving a small room. It's not Pastor Julius who said it. You are receiving a small room. That means eventually you have to depart.
Sure.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. You will be surprised. There are guests who think that, oh, this person is my best friend, so I will make my living. You have received a small room. Even if your host is your relative, even if your host is the pastor, you have received a small room. Make plans eventually to depart. Mm-hmm. You'll be surprised some people don't think about that.
I know, right?
Number one. Number two, you have received a small room. Don't stuff it up with everything you are going to need later on in life. You go out there, this garage sale you buy, come and stuff it in. That garage sale you buy, come and... and your host wants to come into your room, they are tiptoeing. That is an abuse.